Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today I have a platter blank. This is 1 3/8 inch at its narrowest point and about 2 1/4 inch at its thickest point, and it's about 11.5 inches across. I'm going to start with a 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on, and we're going to turn some kind of platter. I don't have a particular shape in mind. We're just going to get to it and see what happens. I can only turn it about 600 RPM because of the difference in thickness, so that's what I'm going to work on first, is flattening out this bottom side. And I neglected to say this is mounted on a woodworm screw with tailstock support, and it's Alder. Well, I think I'm going to see if I can develop some kind of a foot on here. I'll bring this back further and leave a foot and then go up in here. That'll make for a pretty shallow platter, but it's a platter. At least that's what I'm thinking at the moment, and we'll probably go with a tenon rather than a recess. So that's our tenon size. That's not much of a foot, but it's a foot. I'm going to use this diamond point tool to straighten the sides on the tenon. Yeah, I think that's going to work. I'm just going to switch to a 3/8 inch bowl gouge to work inside here. Try and smooth it up a little bit. Well, that's about exactly what I had in mind, so I guess I'm happy with that. Maybe I'll work on this outer edge here a little bit, try and refine that curve. I can't do too much until I get this top flattened out, so I guess that's going to do for now. And I think it's time for sanding. So I'm starting at 80 grit. These bug holes go way up in there. At least that one does, and looks like that one does. So it's quite likely that when I start working on the inside, I'm going to come through. There's going to be holes on the top side of this. But that's okay. Just adds character. So I'll be working on this. I'm starting at 80 grit. I'll work up through 400. And we'll probably use feed wax on here. See you back in a bit. Even though I turned quite a bit of alder, I'm always surprised at how nice it looks. It kind of looks like, in some places it looks like teak. Some places it looks like walnut. It's just, it's pretty. And it sands up so nice. This is just really smooth. I even see a little chatoyance there. You see that? Right in this area. Now when there's bug holes present like this, I like to take a little brush and shove the finish in there. Just for a blend of the color of the wood. I don't want it to look especially different. I don't mind the bug holes, but I don't want them to look, I don't want them to stand out from the rest of the grain. And then I'll take when it's time to buff this up, I'll take a toothbrush and buff that out of the cracks. This finish is so easy to work with. It's pretty dang wonderful. So I'll get this covered really well and let it dry. I'll come back out and buff it up. And I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the top side. See you in a bit. Okay, the bottom is done and finished and looking good. I'll show that to you later. Going to be turning at 1200 RPM. Freshly sharpened 5/8 inch bowl gouge. Mask and face shield on. What I'm doing here is deciding, I haven't made a decision quite yet, if I want to start hollowing clear out here, or if I want to come across here with a border like I've got right now and put a bead around here and then hollow out within the bead. So I'm deciding. Let's see, looks like we got the edge evened up pretty well. Right now I have a dip in here. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's not exactly what I had in mind. Maybe I'll start working on this side of my presumed bead and see how it looks from there. I'm going to measure about 3/8 of an inch at that point. Out here, maybe a 1/2 inch. Yeah, I've still got some room to work. I'm basically a 1/2 inch here all the way down to about here, where I'm about 3/8 of an inch. Well, I just don't like this edge that I have going on here. I guess I envisioned a rounded edge, and I don't have it. I've got a nice sharp edge right here, which I think I generally prefer, and I think a round edge can give a clunky look to a piece, but in this case it's just what I want. I'm not sure why, maybe because of the bottom profile. So I'm going to work on rounding this edge over while I still have a little extra thickness right here, and we'll just see how that looks, and we'll get back to the center part in a minute. Still at 1200 RPM. Whoa! See, that wasn't good, was it? My stance was a little wrong there. See if I did any real damage. Not too much. Well, you know what? I kind of like what I've got going now. It's still, it's sharp, but it's pointy on the edge with rounded up and rounded down. I kind of like that. That was on accident. That's the way half my stuff goes. So I'm gonna see if I can enhance that a little bit. I do have a whoopsie here that I just did, so I'll work on fixing that. Okay, I'm going to have to work on the back side here a little bit. So this is what I'm working on. See how much has come off of the back side until you get over here, and then nothing's come off the back side? I don't know what's causing that. Probably remounting it, I suppose. Normally you never want to go back to the outside, and I kind of wish I hadn't, but I have, so I got to work on it. So I'm going to be working on this back edge right here. Well, I've made a mess of it, boys and girls, but there's no going back now. Oh, Phil, what have you done? Shoot. I'm trying to feather it back so I don't have to return the whole outside, but it's kind of working, but not exactly. Resanding it can help me feather it, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do. It looks worse than it is. I can't really feel it. Yeah, I can't feel it. Okay, so I'm going to have to resand the outside inch there. Back to the top side and edge. It's getting scary now. See what that looks like. Yeah, that looks alright. That looks good. Yep, that's good. That's just what I had in mind. Okay, I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl, guys. Try and refine this bead a little bit. Let me remeasure. I kind of forgot where we were. And about 3/8, 3/8, 3/8. It's thicker here, of course, but that's because of that bead. It's coming along. I'd like to get that down to about 1/4 inch, I think, in the bowl part. Oh yeah. Well, I got barely 1/4 inch in this area. I still have, well, maybe 5/16 in the bottom. I don't know, maybe that's close enough to scrape. See, here's where my bug holes are starting to come through. I kind of would like to stop before they go all the way through, but actually I guess I thought they were going to come through here. The deepest one is right here. Luckily, I guess that falls under the bead. You know, I think I'm just going to scrape. What am I trying to do? Get another 64th off of there? I'll just get that with scraping. Okay, I'm going to start scraping by using my little 1/2 inch, I guess that's 1/2 inch, negative rake scraper to further refine this bead. I'm not quite happy with it yet. So I'm going to be working out here, maybe around here a little bit, and then I'll grab a bigger scraper and we'll do the inside. That's better. I think we're done. Time for sanding. Okay, I'm going to start sanding with my 80 grit disc, doing this side. And I'll work up through 400. Once I get up to probably 240 or so, I'll start working on the back side and feather that and smooth that out. And I'm going to start sanding in reverse. And I'll alternate forward and reverse now and then. So I'll see you back here when it's time to put some finish on this. Well, it took a little effort getting that back, the back or the bottom of this platter to blend, but I did get it to blend and it looks pretty dang good, and you can't feel anything. I can't really see any difference, which pleases me. And it's simply a reminder, everyone knows, once you turn the outside, never touch it again. After you turn it around, don't touch it. And that's something that I know, something that I preach, and something that I did anyway. Sometimes that just happens, you know, you just get involved and you kind of forget. Never touch it. Boy, this is just pretty wood, that's all. Just really pretty. I'm really pleased with this. Now most of these bug holes did not come through like I suspected they would, and it appears it's because most of them, the deepest ones, appear to be under this bead. So I got lucky. It's not something I planned. It just worked out. This right here is not a bug hole, it's just a natural defect in the wood, and it does not go all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to let this set up for a half hour or so, come back out, buff it up, and then it'll be time to turn this around and take that tenon off. We're almost done, boys and girls. Got my little heater going in the background again. It's cold out here today. So I've installed a block of wood on my chuck, and then a piece of non-slip cloth, and then the platter. I'm just going to press the platter against the non-slip cloth, and that'll serve as a friction drive. Bring up my tool rest, see if we're centered, and we're pretty darn good. And we'll turn the speed up to about 700 RPM. And I'll take a 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge and commence to removing this tenon. I'll check for clearance. Lots of clearance, no problem. That looks pretty good. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my homemade point tool and just put a groove in here where the finished part meets the unfinished part. Makes a nice place to have a signature line. That looks pretty good. I'm going to bring my tool rest up a little closer, and I'm going to grab a 1/4 inch swept back gouge to work the rest of this tenon away. I'm going to slow the speed down a little bit, about 500. Now I'm going to slow it down to about 200 because we're very close. And I'm just going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the piece with pressure towards the headstock. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, and when that little nub stops turning, you'll know we're through. Like that. And then I'll just take it over here to the workbench and sand this area up. Well, there it is. One Alder platter in the books. And I'll tell you what, that is some beautiful wood, don't you think? I really like that. It's darker than most of the Alder I deal with. A lot of times it'll have some darkness to it, but this is just about all dark. A little bit lighter on this one side here. That looks pretty dang nice. Got a little pedestal. Bottom turned out pretty good. I like it quite a bit. It's 10 1/4 inch diameter, 1 1/4 inch high. Just a shallow platter, but pretty wood. Great finish, really nice finish. Very happy with that. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly, I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Let's hope next year is even better than this year. I look forward to spending some time with all of you. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.